Hello again, welcome back everyone. Liquorhound here with you. Thank you for joining me for another spirit review video. Today is actually August 16th, 2013, which means it's National Rum Day. Now in honor of that, I was actually going to sit down and crack open my Appleton Estate 30-year-old and review it for you. And then I decided, you know what, while we're at it, let's go ahead and pull out another couple of my favorite Appletons to review side by side. So today we have the Appleton Estate 21-year-old and the Appleton Estate Master Blender's Legacy to compare with the 30-year-old. Now as far as availability and retail price, the 21-year-old runs around $125 to as high as $150, and it is nationally available. You might have to check your larger liquor stores, but it can be found. Now the Master Blender's Legacy unfortunately is not available in the US. I think that's a shame because price point at only $80, it is a blend between 18 and 30-year-old rum. So you take almost these two, combine it, got this at only $80, $85. So if you have a friend in Canada or you're going to be traveling overseas anytime soon, check the duty-free shops because you can probably pick up a bottle of this Master Blender's Legacy. From there, we're going to go to the Appleton Estate 30-year-old. Retails around $350 to $500. It is very hard to find. We're going to see how it all fares as far as word value, but I'm just going to let you know what I feel about them. Now, as far as colors, the 21-year-old is the lightest. Of course, the Master Blender's Legacy, being the hybrid of the two, is right in the middle, and the 30-year-old is definitely the darkest. But I'm going to let you see it a little bit closer. So that is the 21. As far as the nose, wow. A low to medium amount of alcohol in the nose, but it's accompanied with this really big sweet caramel molasses. It has what I like to refer to as an earthiness. In the rum world, they just call it like it's a dunder effect. And what dunder is simply when they're doing the fermentation of the molasses and they actually go to distill it, there's this leftover residue after distillation. It's usually a frothy liquid. And rather than throwing it out, what they do is they actually take that, put it in with the next batch that's going to be distilled, and it just helps impart flavor, it helps the yeast grow, and that dunder is what creates a uniformity throughout the distillation so that their products tend to have this uniform taste. Now Appleton, you can pick them out of a lineup as far as the rum world is concerned because that dunder is very unique to Appleton. They're not the only ones to do it, but to me, when I smell that, immediately I think Appleton. And so I get that one in this one. But it is, again, very sweet molasses. There's also plums, apricots, raspberries. The fruits are pretty vibrant. A real rich brown sugar. That molasses also has a real deep brown sugar note to it. And a fair amount of spice. And as far as the spice, I get like a cinnamon and clove with a little bit of nutmeg in there as well. So some would call it an allspice, but that's what I get in that one. A very aromatic rum. All right, Master Blender's Legacy. Okay, I'm starting to get... I can actually get deeper in the glass on this one because the alcohol is actually lower than the 21 on the nose. The dunder is actually kicked up a little bit more. So you're getting that molasses, but there's also like an earthy veggie note to it. Very sweet, moderate amount of oak in here. Vanilla. The fruits are still right there. Raspberries, plums. Almost a little bit of cherry and apricot in this one. Brown sugar again. Spices seem to be very similar. But there is starting to get a little bit of orange peel in this one. A little bit of orange peel. Wow. It's definitely getting a little richer in aromatics. Alright, 30-year-old. The alcohol is actually Very similar to this one as far as being very low, but it's getting very, very well balanced. I mean, I do get everything that I was getting in these is in here, but at a much lower, more refined, some would say muted on the aromatics. To me, I'm getting the molasses right up front. Not as sweet as this one, but I am getting a little more vanilla, a little more caramel to complement that molasses. The dunder is there, but it's a little, it's not as in your face as it was over here. There's definitely a fair amount of orange peel, a little bit of chocolate in there. Yes, and that brown sugar is still right up in there as well, just along with that clove and cinnamon note. I don't think it's getting over oaked yet. That's just from the nose, but we're going to get to the tasting here in a second. I think I already showed you the color on the 21, but let me just do them because I think I forgot on the other two. That's the 21. Here's the Master Blender's Legacy. Here's the 30-year-old. Okay, let's get to the actual tasting. 21. Medium viscosity. I like the way it enters. Fairly soft, but there is a big spice note that builds almost immediately. That cinnamon, that clove and nutmeg right there, it's building. Molasses is right, well represented with the caramel. It's right after that sweetness, the molasses caramel. That's when the fruits kick in with the spices. It is raspberry, plums. You could call it apricot as well. Then right there on the finish, I am starting to get a little bit of bitterness. I would consider that more of like a black tea note on that finish. The oak, I guess, is what that is. It's the oak tannins drying it out right on that finish. Almost feels like a little bit of leather on that finish as well. And that's just that way that black tea is drying all those fruits out. Overall, very, very nice rum on that 21. It is a little bit segmented, but that's not a bad thing. It makes it actually easier for most people to pick them all those flavors out. Master Blender's Legacy. Wow. It's everything this one is. It even has a little bit of that warmth, picking up that spice on that mid palate. It's everything this one is, with a little more oily feel, a little bit richer and deeper flavors. That it's the molasses, the caramel, the dunder. It's just a little more muted, but the fruits are still very fresh right in that middle. The plums, the apricots, a little bit of that raspberry. A nice oak vanilla note lingering throughout. I am getting also a little bit of orange peel coming on that mid palate with those spices. Right after that spice kind of swells a little bit, I'm getting a little bit of that orange peel. A little bit of a semi-sweet chocolate as well. It's not getting as bitter as that 21 was getting. That 21 was starting to get a little bit astringent on that finish. This one's not doing that. It's just nice, and all those flavors are lingering. So, wow, really, really, really nice rum there. Again, these are sipping rums. You never want to ruin these with a Coke, okay? All right, 30-year-old. Wow. You can tell the age on this one immediately. Patron does that cask, I think it's 1623 now, and the old cask 23 from Anguilla. And that one reminds me of this one, where it has a really nice citrus note on that finish. Very soft, the way it just goes in super smooth. You get this really nice molasses caramel, a little bit of that dunder, but it's also mixed in with a fair amount of vanilla right up front. It is balanced. That's the one thing I like throughout, because as you get those flavors, then they immediately meld into a little bit of orange peel, a little bit of chocolate, that brown sugar as well, and then they're lingering, and then the spices kind of drop in as well, and they all kind of meld together throughout a very lengthy finish on this one. The one thing I didn't get on this one or this one that I did find on this one was a bitterness on the finish. This one does have a big oak note, and that's the one thing throughout. I don't mind oak on my stuff, on my spirits. I like old bourbons most of the time. You know, you can get over oaked where they start getting very tannic and then they start drying out, kind of like this one was doing with that black tea feel. But when they don't dry out like that, then they start to become, in my view, almost perfect, because you're getting that age, that oiliness on the palate, but you're also getting that very refined and depth of flavors. That's, to me, is what this 30-year-old's doing. Everything that these have, just muted and more balanced. Now, you have to be in the mood for that. You know, on a day-to-day basis, I would probably lean more towards this Master Blender's Legacy, because it gives me a little bit of that with a little bit of the vibrancy. You know, some people would consider that 30-year-old maybe boring, so that's one thing to be aware of. But that's about it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. It's, again, National Rum Day, so I hope you sit down with a rum cocktail tonight. And everybody have a great evening, and cheers.